everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today is January 3rd, so it's day 3 of our 365 cup challenge. Today I'm doing hand building cups as well as putting handles on 2 cups that I made yesterday. So right now our completed cup count is up to 16. I have the wine glasses that I showed in the first video, and then also I had thrown off video 8 of these just short everyday coffee mugs or breakfast mugs, you know, the basic ones. No extra flourish or design on those. So today we're doing short hand building mugs, and this is a class I actually teach in person on hand building mugs at It's Neighbor Made in Catonsville. So the next class for that will be this Sunday. I don't know if there's any spots available, but if you're interested, check out It's Neighbor Made. So I've already cut out the forms for the mugs and the handles for them. And right now I am doing the base of the mugs. So the camera's kind of be in and out, right? I don't have the technological skill yet to get everything right where it needs to be. But at least you can see somewhat what we're working on, and I'll probably lower this down so that you can see the making more so than my face. Because this is the show here, is the making, right? So I'm cutting up the bases here. I have rolled out the slab. Now this is the extra dark clay. This clay fires almost like a black brown when it's finished. It comes out a really nice, rich, dark brown color. All right, so I've got 2 bottoms here. I've got 2 of the slabs for the mugs here, and since I have a little bit extra here, I'm going to see if I can get 2 more circles out of this, because this circle size also is what I use for my ring dishes, my catch-all dishes. And there we have it. So we have a couple more of those. Ooh, nice. All right, and then this excess clay will get used and recycled. Alrighty. So with this extra dark clay, this was the template I have for the short mug. That's the one I like to use for that one. With this dark clay, I really like to do a contrast in white slip, and I have a couple different designs here. I don't think they fit fully. I think these guys are a little big. So we're gonna do the ducks today in the grass. Another really popular one I do is like the Skyrim dragon, and then the Tree of Gondor. But those fit best on the tall tankards, and we're just doing the cup today. So we have this, we already cut the handles. So I am going to get this canvas out of here so we have a bit more work area. Here directly on the table. So the other tools I'm grabbing, this is my throwing bucket from when I threw with the dark clay, so it's got a little bit of the slip left in. I poured the settled water out, so we've got some slip in the right color. I've got this tool here to cut 45 and 60-degree angles, so when we put the base of the mug together, they'll match up. I also have this rib tool. It's a toothed rib. It's got the teeth on it, so it allows me to both cut the handles at the right length and to score them. I find this tool really handy in this application. All right, so we've got our stencil, so let's get some of the white slip out with a paintbrush. I'm just gonna look for a good brush for this. Sorry guys, my space is very small. It's a corner of my basement, so it's a tiny studio. And I'm just looking for like something that's somewhat clean to put some of this white slip on. Okay, so I'm gonna lay this. Let's see, you can see it. Lay this out onto the clay body where I want the design to be. And I like to press down just a tad to get the stencil somewhat embedded in the clay. It helps give crisp lines on it. And then we're going to take the white slip and we will just paint over all the little spots in the stencil. And I left the texture of the canvas on the clay. I like the texture. I think it adds a little bit of depth to the work. And when it's glazed, it's smooth on the outside, but you can see the bit of the texture in there. And I just think it adds a little bit of design and depth to what would otherwise just be a blank surface. First thing of slip is done. I'm going to give this a moment to rest and let the clay absorb some of that extra liquid from the slip. This red clay tends to be really dry right out of the bag, so it's not great for throwing, or at least the batch I have. It's not great for throwing, but it's really good for hand building. Here and just kind of sponge up some of this excess. There we go. And when I lift this up, I will get a crisp design there of the ducks. And I want to do that to both of these. So I'm going to go wash this off and dry it. It will make it more clean. And I have a whole bunch of these shop towels. These are just garage style shop towels. I buy them in bulk at Costco. You can get 50 of them for like 20 bucks, 25 bucks. They wash up real easy. Don't care if they get stained, but they're cotton and really absorbent. So they're great to have around the studio. so let's, this next design, this next slab here, get it centered where I want it, and then I'm just going to press down, get it into the clay. In my slip again, same thing. I'm just filling in the blank spaces with the white slip. And what white slip is this is a dark brownish red clay, and this slip will fire white. So it's not paint or anything, it's just another colored clay that will add that contrast. And I am getting drops on this guy, so I'm going to move him. There we go. And just paint him in. Now the cool thing about these white slips is if you wanted to add colorants to them, you could do them in different colors. You could put in some mason stains, which are really consistent colors that you can use in ceramics, or you could even add like 1% or 2% of cobalt oxide, and cobalt will fire blue. So some of the work I do, I use a slip that I've added a 1% of cobalt to add a blue slip decoration. That always looks, it's a really classic look, the blue with the I use usually that on like a white or a cream colored ceramic material. It's a really classic look. Okay. I think we're pretty good here. I'm just lightly going over the little ducks that we did first, making sure that they're all filled in. Again, I'm going to give that a moment to rest. While that rests, I'm going to go rinse this off. Take the stencil up, and you're left with a really crisp design. Okay, so here's the design that will be on the front of these cups. Now this one here, I got a little bit of speckle on it, and we can clean that up really easy before it gets too far gone. I like to take the needle tool, it's basically a pin, and I just draw up that little bit of the slip. Scratch it away and blend it in. And that takes care of that. So while these slips are still settling, because I want these to be really nice and dry onto this clay, or at least I can touch it and move it without smearing. I want it to really absorb in there. I'm going to go ahead and put some handles on the pieces that I wheeled through yesterday. have this one. So these are 2 mug forms. And then I already cut the handles out of the slab earlier. So with these, I like to, most of my work, I like to put my maker's mark where the handle goes. Paintbrush. So I usually look for that mark and I come in here, paintbrush, and I'm going to grab some of that dark slip. And you can see here, I'm going to go ahead and put that slip on the 2 spots where I'm going to attach the handle. And then I come in with this scoring tool here, this one with the teeth, and I make some score marks there. And then remember I said with this tool I like to score and cut with the same tool. So I clean up all this stuff. I clean up after it's leather hard and before it goes in the kiln. So basically I'm cutting down on a 45-degree angle. I'm giving that a nice angle to attach to the mug. And then I'm flipping it over, and I'm cutting again with this flat side, another 45-degree angle. And then I'm putting in some hash marks there. Get some more of the slip these 2 sides. And then I find where it connects, where the top part is to this. And I'm sorry if you can't see because of the angles. I'm trying to do this where you can. Basically you match it up and you kind of wiggle it on until it gets really nice and sticky. And then with the hash marks, what we call scoring, and the slip, it creates a nice glue connection. And that gets on there. So then I also pick it up, then I lay the bottom part down, or that would be gently press. Now I'm supporting from the inside as I press, and that's important when you're attaching handles. You want to make sure the inside is also supported. And that's how you attach a handle onto the mug. So that's kind of a traditional mug shape. This is what I call the cauldron mugs. They're nice and big and cauldron shaped. And I like to put a handle on these, and then I put 2 little cauldron decorations on the side. They're fun. Going out of sequence. So slip, slip, score it, score it. We have our handle, score, cut our 45-degree angle and score, slip and slip. Same thing, attach it down to that same space, kind of wiggle it till it's sticky, and then spread it out. And then where you want the bottom handle to be, you find so it matches with the score marks. Lay it on, support from the inside, and press. Smooth it out as you go. And anything that you don't like now, you can always clean up in the later stages. So as it dries up and firms up, you can take a sponge to it and smooth out any rough edges, things like that. Now with the cauldron cups, I usually add like little cauldron accents on here. I'm kind of liking him as a big cup today. You know, it's just a big coffee cup. He's going to be somebody's huge coffee cup. Or tea. Or broth. Now what I'm doing here, so some of the score lines were passed, so I'm taking the slip with the paintbrush and I'm just smoothing that out now before it dries. And there you have that. So now these are going to go up on our drying rack. Put these up here to completely dry out before they go in the kiln. All right. So that is attaching those handles. Clean. Let's see how the slip's feeling good here. So I think we're about ready to start constructing the slab built mugs. So we'll start on one first. So we take our biscuit, I call it the biscuit. It's not really a biscuit, it's your foot, your base of your mug. We have a handle here that we cut earlier. And so we're going to take this. We're going to take our angle cutter, and I'm going to use the 60 degree. It's going to add a larger surface area. And what I'm doing is I'm lining it up. Might be easier to see if I do it at this angle. So I'm lining it up, this part here with the edge, and then I'm pulling it down towards me while supporting with my hand the bottom of the clay so that it doesn't move when it gets closer. And actually you can see the line came off. There you go. Came. This probably needs to be tightened some, but the metal wire came off a bit. So once you've cut the one side, you're going to flip it over. And this is why you needed to wait for the slip to get really attached, because when you flip it, if the slip wasn't fully integrated in the clay, it would just wipe right off on the table. So now I'm going to take the scoring tool and I'm going to score down the entire edge. Put some slip down the edge. Flip it back over. I'm going to do the same on this side. I'm going to score down the edge. And I'm going to slip down the side. Now you take your two sides and you gently press them together. And I like to do this in the standing upright position. And you overlap and you gently press. And you do that all the way down the mug. I flip it over halfway so that I can really get in there. And press it together. Always support from the inside when you're working with the clay. Always support it. So now you have that cylinder piece constructed. Now, since this is a cylinder and it's bound to get a little bit out of shape as we go, I like to take something, firm up the circle as it sits on the table. I use this also to support as I press. Just get that perfectly around. Now we'll do the same with the other slab. So that we don't get designs messed up. I'm doing the same thing. Flip it over, move that cutter towards you. And you could also do this with a flat knife or a needle tool. You'd want to score it at a 60 or 45-degree angle, so that way when we put the two sides together, it's flush. The hardest thing to remember is to flip it over and do them in opposite directions. Then place it together. Basically, I'm pinching it. Going down, hands, flip it over, and pinch it together, supporting from the inside, and pressing in, and then smooth it out. And you can use a cup or some other like rounded tool. Red Solo cups work too. This is just what I use in the studio to get that nice size. Now that we have the mugs together, we can put the bottom one. This bottom, as you can see, we're going to put it on just like this. So we take our scoring tool and we want to score the entire bottom of just the rim, just the top edge, and then I go around all the edges of the base of the mug. You can take your slip, and then we place this right on top. Make sure it's centered and then gently press down to adhere those two sides. So as I'm pressing from the top, I'm supporting the sidewall with my finger. Anytime you press, you want to make sure you support. And then we're going to flip him right up again. And I'm going to reshape his form, get him nice and circular. Okay, I'm going to put him to the side. I'm going to stiffen up some before we attach the handle. So we're going to do the same with this one. Again, I want to make sure that this is perfectly round before we get started on the bottom. Take a bottom piece. Going to score all around. And then score along the bottom of this one. slip. Both sides get the slip. Okay. Pick it up. And center it. And then we push down as we support the edges. All around. Push down and support. It up, round it off, and then let me show you how to attach and handle. So this one here, my favorite place to put the handle is at the seam. One, it helps hide the seam, and two, it strengthens the seam. So keep them rounded. And another tool you can get and use is a rubber rib if you have one. If not, you can keep using your fingers. But I find the rubber rib is nice too to smooth up that seam, make it a little less obvious. And I go inside as well. And smooth up that seam. Alright, so with the handle, you want to measure it out. So I'm going to show it to you on this angle here. Anytime you move or touch this, you want to re-round it out because it's still very malleable and still very much able to get pulled out of shape. So you want to see where you want your handle to start and where you want it to end. So I've already cut this at pretty much the perfect length for this mug. But you may have yours a little longer, and it's okay to cut off some to get it to land where you want. Some people like a very short handle, some people like a very low handle, some people like just a circle attached. I prefer a very traditional handle shape. I find it holds best in my hand. So again, I'm just trimming the tops and bottoms off at those 45-degree angles. I'm going to add some slip and add some slip. Not a whole lot because the seam's already going to be pretty moist from your attachments, but just enough. Score it. Add the slip to the handle, both sides. And just like I showed with the other mugs, you're going to place it, the scored edges together, kind of wiggle it a little bit until you feel it start to set, and then gently press while supporting from the inside. And then the same with the bottom. Kind of give it a little bit of a wiggle and support from the inside as you press it together. Now, with the hand-built mugs, because these were not we don't have to wait till they get leather hard. You're not going to be picking it up and supporting it from the inside like you would a trimmed wheel thrown piece. So you just want to support from the inside without picking it up off the table. Okay. And then any areas at the top that you want to smooth out, I recommend taking the paintbrush before it gets too dry. And just smoothing out those rough edges that may be from the scoring, maybe from your handle attachments as you spread it out. But smoothing it out now is easier than taking the sponge to it later. After I've attached the handle, I'll give it another good straightening with a round form, and there you have it. There is the hand-built slab mug. All right, well, thanks for watching. I'm going to go ahead and continue to complete the other ones, so feel free to keep watching. But that's the main idea there, to make these. And remember, I teach these classes in person in Catonsville at It's Neighbor Made. I teach there on Sundays, so you can contact the shop to find out when the next class is available, and you can make your own creation. And we use all types of hand building techniques. So this is the main form that we make, but the decorative techniques can be very different. A lot of times students will bring different things to impress into the clay. We also have things called sprig molds. I can teach you how to apply forms to the outsides of the clay. And you end with your own unique mug that after you've made it, we take care of firing it and glazing it for you, and then you get to come pick up your creation about 4 weeks after the class. So thank you, everybody, and have a great rest of your day. And there you have it. The second piece is done.